Nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatinga tadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa 'Cause my hitters don't die and real hitters gon' shine and my people gon' rise 'Cause we're born to win, yeah. I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the 3rd grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwe ain't great. So they do shades and your boy hit the stage. Press play and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I want to welcome you to a magnificent Monday. I'm so excited because we have another Black Star Power episode today, y'all. I have the pleasure and the opportunity of speaking with the Paul Anthony. And if you do not know Paul Anthony, I am sure you do. Someone who was integral with the group Full Force. Also, we know him from one of the classics, the whole series of House Party movies, the original ones. And also, he really has been phenomenal in blazing trails in the music industry, you know, doing so much production work, producing artists, producing for artists. I just can't wait to dive in with him about his incredible career and also how he's bringing his brilliance to the Pacific Northwest with some young folks here in a collaboration he's working on. So I'm excited that he is joining me today. But of course, it is the top of the show, y'all. So it's a great time to tag and share this stream right here. That's right. Go ahead, tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. If you cannot watch our beautiful TV show, oh, the beautiful colors I try to bring to y'all, don't worry. We got you covered. You can listen to us also anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Apple Music, whichever one is your favorite. Pick from the over 200 plus platforms that we are on. Shout out to our podcast team for making that happen and ensuring that we are covering all of our media bases here for all of you. But of course, I am elated. So without further ado, I want to welcome Paul Anthony to the Day with Trae. Hi, Paul.
What's going on? How you doing?
Oh, doing well. It's so great to be with you today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Relaxed for one. Just taking it easy after a busy week. And I want to wish all your wonderful female audience a very blessed Mother's Day as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. You know, to be able to start the week off after experiencing Mother's Day on Sunday, it's always a beautiful thing to be able to uplift those who have birthed child or those who were chosen as mothers or did it by their own choice. It's a beautiful thing to be able to celebrate that. But, you know, I mean, when we talk about the career that you have and the ways that you have imparted your brilliance into so many different works, I really want to start at the beginning here because, you know, many folks may know, oh my gosh, you know, Paul from Full Force. Like I've been talking about this opportunity and they're like, oh, of course I know who that is. But tell us about what got you started in music and in the industry of entertainment.
Yeah. Well, it was a family thing. My father was part of the doo-wop groups. Both my two uncles, Uncle Cita and Uncle Paul, was part of those doo-wop groups. So my Uncle Cita really started us, and my dad, when he realized that we all had talent. You know, I think I was the first one because I was born with a voice. He heard me singing in the shower at the age of, I think, 11. And I had heard the vibrato in my voice, Smokey Robinson song. And shortly after that, I was down in the streets of Bed-Stuy, just singing downstairs in the streets, standing on top of a garbage can, everyone all around, and I was just doing my thing and singing, you know. And then my brother Lou and B was in the window and he was watching, and I knew that my father would be training them as soon as you join me. and that's how we all started. And then a neighbor friend of ours named Edwin Guy, he joined us. We formed a group called the Amplifiers. We went on to do the Apollo Theater. He was 12. I was 12. He was 8. Louis was 13. And we won 14. No, we won about 20. We did 20 shows with a number of acts that you wouldn't remember the name of them. But we killed it. So that was our first step into professionalism when we were very, very young.
Wow. I mean, you're talking about from the gate, knowing,
Right.
and being able to identify talent. And you did not stop there, clearly, right?
Right.
I mean, you
Mhm.
really honed in, cultivated that talent with family. Tell us how the talent began to progress and the opportunities began to progress as others started to really understand and recognize y'all's talent.
Sure, sure. So we kept grinding for many, many years, um, getting signed. I think it was 15 to an old label back then called Cheshire Records, but the grind never stopped. So later on, my brother B always played around the corner with our cousins, Shy, Baby Jerry, and Kurt. And they played their instruments. And Lou went down and said, "Hey, Paul, let's go around and see what they're doing." So we went and we vibed and everything. And it was Lou idea that, hey, let's start a group together. And by the very name, force means to the power to influence or control. So we came with the name Full Force. And from there, we started doing a lot of shows. Our music was a blend of rock and hip hop and R&B. So we were truly ahead of our time. So late great co-manager named Steve Stanley, he said, "Hey, you know what? You guys put yourself too much on the microscope. Why don't you start producing other groups?" And make a long story short, my brother B came with an idea to do a song on a girl that could condition everybody, and that song turned out to be Roxanne, Roxanne by UTFO. We co-wrote that and produced that. It was a phenomenon. It was one of the first uh, steps in hip hop. Okay, and then after that, we knew something as successful and groundbreaking as that it could be perceived as luck. So we said, "Come on, we got to do it again." And B had another idea of filling a void in the industry because there was no Latin, there wasn't any Puerto Ricans, Hispanics. So we seeked out a young lady uh, and Mike Hughes, who was later in Culture, and he found a girl named Lisa. Worked to our Brooklyn base. We auditioned her. We all collectively said she's the one, and that gave birth to Lisa Kojan. And then we gave birth to freestyle dance music with "I Wonder If I Take You Home" and "Can You Feel the Beat." Before that, there was no Gloria Esteban, no J Lo, no Ricky Martin, no Menudo, nobody. We opened up the doors for freestyle. So then there was a huge bidding war from the guys who created Roxanne, and Lisa. And then, by the way, we were in basketball. We were so critical for basketball, which plays every NBA season. And it just went from there, man. We just started creating success. But don't get it twisted. My mother kept all the rejection letters. We got literally rejected or thrown out of every label, all of them. And we just kept them and never stopped. Personally, me, there was never a question that we was going to make it. I knew we was. I just didn't know when it was time. So I felt the best way to kill time is get an education. So I went and got my associate degree in accounting, and I got my bachelor's degree in accounting because I knew when we made it, I want to make sure I can keep a track of the money with our company as well. So that's a condensed
Wow.
version.
Well, no. And honestly, I mean, you're talking about some heavy hitter classics right now. When you're
Oh
talking about Roxanne, I mean,
yeah.
they're playing basketball. We hear these classics now, and young folks are actually getting hip to it, especially with the digitization of our
Mm-hmm.
world, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those classics are actually resurfacing right now, and
Oh
I
yeah.
always get astonished when my 9-year-old is singing something that, my parents grew up on. And I'm like, wait a minute, how did you
Right.
come across this? But it's
Right.
great that they're able to really dive into those classics and really keep great artistry alive, right? Like
Right.
that there's so much of a clash now with the era. It's not the same as like, oh, we only listen to music from, 2023. It's like, no, we're diving back because we also realize that a lot of that music isn't necessarily what's being created today. So there's still that
Mm-hmm.
hunger there for folks to feel that. I mean,
Right.
so y'all were blazing trails in the music industry, and then
Mm-hmm.
you somehow crossed over and got into House Party and was doing movies. Tell us about that crossover there for y'all.
Right. Well, it wasn't too much of a crossover to us because my father and my uncles have always instilled in us that the singer is an actor. So it's a natural progression. That's why you see so many hip hop artists migrating to acting because it's a natural progression. A lot of stuff they talk about is real stuff, and we've always had a pop writing, songwriting sensibility, but we had a hip hop attitude that never changed. You know what I mean? This coming from Brooklyn, so my co-manager Steve Salem and his dear friend Russell Simmons, they shared an office the size of a small or large bathroom. So we was all like one clique, that's why we did Black Wolf Clear Flow. There were times we were running to open up for us, and we opened up for him and Run DMC. And I remember when Rick Rubin brought these three little white dudes in the office in the back, the Beastie Boys, and we was all like one clique. So our first movie was Crush Groove, and that was loosely about Russell Simmons. So because we had such a mean persona, but real recognized real, because I was with t-shirts and full force, particularly me, have inspired millions the world over. My career in fitness and bodybuilding, I was like the first to bring it really in your face. So to 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 have us play the mean guys was just easy because, like my father said, you don't sing the song, you become the song. So it was an easy transgression. And from there, then Luke started another movie called Who's the Man? Okay.
Wow.
And those are still part of hip hop lore. Crush Group really set the tone. Um, then later on, a good friend of ours named Robert Ford Jr., may rest in peace, he was with a friend of his, Harvard student named Reggie Hutland, and he read this script that he had, and he said, in the script it said the bad guys, the muscle bound Jerry curl wearing guys, like full force. So he said, well, why life? Why don't you get full force? He said, yeah, right. What are you talking about? No, I work with him. If he does, yeah, give him a call. So Robert called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna get this call from this guy named Reggie Hutland." I mean, we're always open minded. So he called me, kind of nervous, and said, "Hey, man, I got the script. We wish you take a listen to it." I said, "Hey, Reggie, send it over, man. You never know, because we're always open minded." So he sent it over. I read maybe a quarter of it. I knew it had some elements. I sent it over to Lou right away because Lou has always been one to write little stories and sonnets that we did plays in our home for our family. That was always his thing. So he said, "Hey, you know what? I think we can do this. B, they have you as Pee Wee. I'm gonna be Pee Wee. You be Zilla. I'm gonna talk like this about the whole movie and everything." That was it. And we formed such a bond with the Hutton brothers that we wrote every line in the movie. We rewrote it. We meet them the night before. We rewrite everything, and they looked at each other and said, "Keep it." So the I smoke, I smell, and I'm gonna kick your freaking ass. That's stuff that we always did as brothers. You know what I mean? The next thing you know, kid play start changing lines, and more start changing lines. It was, we knew we had a success, but we had no idea that it would happen to stay in life for over 35 years, so we're blessed to be part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is such a classic. Like for me, my family, my siblings, like you cannot have us do our whole. We have a whole game where we just do lines from movies, and everybody always knows all of the house party lines. So
Right,
we had to
right.
stop using them because we played them out. Like we were constantly using all those movies. But it really is. You know what I love is that now as my sons are growing up, I get to share those same movies and classics with them.
Right.
And that's really what keeps it so beautifully alive
Mm-hmm.
is that, young folks are really experiencing it. And even when they have the
True.
remakes, now they're like, wait a minute, this is a remake. Let me go back to the original. And so you see a lot of that happening too, because the accessibility is there
Right,
for us
right.
to be able to, find all of those classics. But that's such a brilliant story to know that y'all were really integral in writing the script because that makes it more personal, right? And you were bringing
Yes.
your own, sibling love to the entire movie, and we didn't even know, but it was so right
Well
on. It
said.
was so spot on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well said. And once again, in their infinite wisdom to allow us to have free reign of creativity, Virgin Warrington Hutland really pick their cast well because we was one great big family, you know. And then when we wrote the theme song, "Ain't my type of high baby, me and you crazy fool," man, that set it off. We can't go
Oh.
nowhere. I be in Walmart sometimes. I turn around and the kids like, "Are you stabbed? Ain't this you?" You know. And once again, that's a beautiful thing because it's all about the information and the fact that the kids can get it on the drop of a dime. They want it. They're hungry for it. So I love the fact that to know where you are, know where you're going, they want to know where this came from, where that came from, where we came from. So the fact that that's the trend, I see it in music, I see it in life, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, I mean that's got to be one of the more rewarding parts of, what you've been able to establish and build by bringing your talent out for the world to really experience and support and appreciate and receive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Curtis Blow, and I was so elated. He was one interview that I got to have a couple years back, and I was so stoked to be able to talk to Curtis Blow because I'm like, you are a legend in hip hop, like
Mhm.
this is huge when he was doing the hip hop Nutcracker here in
Mhm.
Seattle. But it's so brilliant that we see that talent is always there and there's always ways to pick it up. And,
That's right.
you are really connecting with talent in such a way that you have also inspired a lot of other artists, working with them, doing
Yeah.
artists, works with them, making sure that they know how to play in their niche. Tell us about that because that's so inspiring that you didn't just like say, hey, I know how to be great. You're like really helping other artists be great.
Absolutely. And that's what it's about. You're supposed to take that and let it perforate and spread the knowledge and spread the love, you know. So that's how we always are. And there's a lot of artists that are like that as well. So the fact that they want the information and the fact that we're here to give it to them right from no filter and nothing just thrown in it to give them the real. That's important, whether it's songwriting, whether it's acting, whether it's persevering your dream while still getting your education. These are all the things that lots of artists, me in particular, can offer our youth. And it's not just the youth. There are people mid-level that's still trying to find their next season. So the fact that we can spread that knowledge, spread that joy, it's a beautiful thing. Nothing is more fulfilling to be purposeful and purpose-filled, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are such a shining example of fulfilling your purpose. And after the break, we're going to talk about some of your own health battles because you've been very, very transformational in terms of fitness, right? But you
Mhm.
also experienced some health challenges, and then you have some connections right here to the Pacific Northwest where you're bringing your talent back. So we're going to talk all about that right after this short break, y'all. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in. They talked to our lender and saved our home. Because falling on hard times does not have to mean losing your home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Day with Trey. I'm your host, Trey Holiday. I'm excited on this Black Star Power episode this Monday. We got Paul Anthony in the building. Paul, thank you again for joining me today. You've been sharing
Mhm.
your history with us, and I know we could be sitting here for hours talking about all the great things you've done. But, we also want to talk about the fact that you really were significant in, making health and fitness a primary focus for the industry. Tell us more about that because I mean, we saw y'all ripped and buff, and crush groove, like you said, but that bodybuilding and really caring for the body was a major part of something that you really prioritized and really brought out into the industry. Tell us more.
Yeah, so fitness and training and bodybuilding, it changed my life. Because when I was in high school, I wasn't a big guy at all. So I started working out religiously, I mean, addictively, twice a day, sometimes three times a day. So the fact that I've never been a shy person, so I really wanted to put it out there into the mainstream because I used to not only watch R&B acts and hip hop, but the rock groups like Rat and Motley Crue and Poison and Kiss. See how they always had makeup, the ripped shirts and bandanas. So I sort of just fused everything together, and then as a group, so we all worked out. Kurt, B, just various levels. I was the main one because I was the guy in the group that would wear things that others wouldn't, say things that others shouldn't, and do things that others couldn't. I was always out there. You know what I mean? So nobody was doing what we was doing on tour. I pulled, take off my clothes and pull down some bikini briefs and do some mandatory bodybuilding poses in front of hundreds of thousands of people over our career. And then we had this thing called an Alice sandwich where I get a girl from the audience and pick Lou and I pick them both up and just go bouncing. It's really it's a deadlift, but it just looks like wow. So always doing to be different, but it was just answers because remember our songwriting and our music always backed up what we ever did on stage. And then we had UTFO and hip hop concerts. We had Lisa Lisa on pop concerts. We was in R&B because we managed all our artists as well. So it was always key to put ourselves in a position of power where we have several revenue streams, whether it's songwriters, as artists, as actors, as musicians, whatever it is, you got to have more than one thing. That was a mindset. So to inspire hundreds of thousands. It was really, really a blessing to me. Even today, I get stopped. It was at the Shanti concert. We had two big brothers, I mean, way bigger than me. And said, hey, man, it's a course of view that I started working out years ago. And I get it all the time. To me, and that's like medicine. That's why when I was diagnosed with a very, very rare cancer, it shocked everybody, including myself. It was very shocking because I always stayed in shape. But mantle cell lymphoma was my first of three cancers that I was diagnosed with in 2006. It was very rare. They hadn't a cure for it at the time. But my interpretation was, yeah, he is as tough as battles, as tough as warriors. I was always an investor on the mind, body, and spirit connection way before that. So that's a true testament that he gives his toughest battles to his toughest warriors. Um, so it was a hell of a journey. Me and my brothers went on, literally went on tour to which cancer facility would best suit what we needed for my particular challenge. And when I got to Memorial Sloan Kettering, and the doctor came out and introduced himself as Dr. Paul Anthony, we all looked around the room and I said, okay, I just looked up and said, thank you, because he sends his messages. We just don't pay attention. So my interpretation was, okay, that was it. That's all I need to know. Now, we told the doctor, I said, my name is Paul Anthony. It's the first time I ever met a Paul Anthony. All my life, I've always been on Paul Anthony. Someone bet on Paul Anthony. And that's what really
Wow.
sealed it for us. So the journey was long. It was one of the first things Dr. Paul Anthony Hamlin did was test both my brothers, and it turned out Lou was a 10 for 10 donor match, something that we saved for a rainy day because it's very challenging, and it did. Later on, 4 years later, the cancer came back after liters of chemotherapy. And I would work out in my room. There's photos of me working out in my room, doing chin ups on the door and push ups, just getting prepared. Because in my mind, I prepare myself for the chemo even more than the cancer, because the cancer is not
Mm,
really the foreign agent; it's the other stuff. So I was very, there's a lot of things I did before that. First thing I did is went to a spiritual healer. Then I did some acupuncture. I changed the way I ate, changed the way I slept. I changed the people I hung around. The toxicity
mm.
can come from so many places, and it was a long journey, but through that, 4 years later, when it came back and the acute myeloid leukemia means it's really racing, it's very fast. Dr. Hammond said, right now, my friend, first time you're fighting for your life. You are. And I said,
Wow.
well, Doc, you're not looking close enough. I said, if you look closer, you see my crown of glory. I'm different. I'm special. I said, so hurry up and do what you're going to do. So me and the Father are going to do what I know we're going to do because he has things for me to do. And I said that. But make no mistake about it, as confident and trembling as I am, I insulate myself with the right energy, the right family, and the right love to just foster that. So now the music is the gift, but the purpose is touching, changing, and saving lives.
Yeah, I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, congratulations for you being able to persevere. And what a serendipitous story for you to have Dr. Paul Anthony working on you in that regard. And so I love that
Man.
divine connection, right? You're
Just
absolutely
like
right
that.
that, there's some things that you just can't make up, right? And it's beautiful to hear that. But you also, through this experience, now you've been working with cancer foundations, you've been speaking. Tell us
Hmm.
how you've been able to really share this experience of healing with others who find themselves in similar situations.
Yeah, yeah, I've done that. I've spent many, many years working with the American Cancer Society. I've did some things with the Cancer Society in DC, in LA. I've worked with a City of Hope. Um, I've spent many years working with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society as well, for Speaking Purpose. And for the past 6 years now, I've been a member of the National Advisory Board for the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida. They're one of the leading in the world. And this couple of weekends ago, we were really getting some new cutting edge therapies and breakthroughs for pancreatic cancer. And it's wonderful to be a part of that. At our ball, I was fairly instrumental in bringing wonderful Gladys Knight to our ball a couple of weeks ago. So I was excited about that because she's my vocal architect. So
Wow.
doing a wonderful thing, a number of wonderful things, not only at the board level, but in the community, and that's important to me. So I'm excited about just being positioned to be purposeful and give back.
Yeah. I mean, it's so beautiful because, I realize the tight schedule you must have, but the fact that you really
Mhm.
make time to prioritize opportunities like that to give back to, other communities and to really share your story of healing, which, honestly, the inspiration alone is, can be transformational for someone. And so the ways
Absolutely.
that it affects others, right, as they hear your story is so key. And
Yeah.
before we talk about your connection to some youth here, it's the 50th year of hip hop. I mean, I got to talk to you a bit about this because,
Sure.
all over the country, there's a lot of different states and cities that are doing things, communities are doing things. I know we have some stuff going on here for the 50th year of hip hop, but this
Hmm.
anniversary is special. This is an art form that I think a lot of folks kind of wrote off in the beginning, thinking, oh,
Yeah.
that's going to be a fad. It's not going to last very long. And here we are 50 years later, and you have been such a phenomenal part of this from the beginning. Just tell us how this 50th
Mhm.
year anniversary is settling with you. I know you're probably doing all kind of things because events are definitely coming in the droves, but how is it
Yeah.
settling with you that this amazing art form that you love and have poured so much into is still alive and well to this day?
It's beautiful, man. It's wonderful, and it is the number one art form in the world. And you can go to various parts of the world. I don't care if it's Asia, Thailand, France. You will see a group of kids emulating the style, the swag, the rap, the vocals. So it is a very influential thing. And the fact that I feel there's a resurgence now, creativity merged with true school music, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and that's exciting because being on the forefront with a lot of other great stars, to put the work in and put the foundation in this wonderful building now called hip hop. It's beautiful. I've done a co-hosting event in New Jersey for the 50th anniversary. We had a lot of stars there from KRS One to Kumo D, Grandmaster Deacon Houdini, the kids from Tango Kid from UTFO, may rest in peace. That's just one of many things taken care of. I know in August we're putting together hopefully a hip hop parade that's supposed to be taking place starting in Brooklyn. That's gonna be exciting. So there's a number of things. So wherever I go, I'm going to make sure that I can give the knowledge of the experience, from hip hop. And once again, it's a working thing together. Last year, I was fortunate to be giving a doctorate in philosophy and humanitarianism. So I'm working on my book right now. And the book will have various chapters of the music of some of my experiences with James Brown, some of my experience with hip hop, some of my experience with the great Dr. Sebi. This will
Mhm.
be, but I've got to highlight hip hop because that helps others for us. So there's a number of things going on all over the place for sure.
Yeah, I'm such a kid, grew up. I mean, my parents, and particularly my dad, just kept us inundated with classic hip hop as well as current hip hop. I mean, I remember when CDs first came out, and when they started doing, like, 6 disc CD changers. That my dad got one of those. We had those in the house, so I grew up,
Uh-huh.
really encompassed around so many different genres of music. But hip hop was always one that was such a staple in our household. And, always have loved the positive messages that really originated through hip hop, right? And just like the liberating
Right.
messages that we took, in our communities to say this is an art form that we really get to coin. But it's also something, like you said, it's hit so many different countries, and it drives so much of the culture forward. So just thank you for your contributions to the beginnings of hip hop, for your continuation of your contribution to so many different artists in multiple platforms. But hip hop will always have a love for me, and I know that that's true for you as well.
Mhm.
But also
Absolutely.
too, so you and Wayne Bascom, y'all have connected. Y'all have known each other in the industry, and
Mhm.
he was just here recently with the Liberated Village, brought some amazing dancers to ATS Sugiyama High School. And I know that he's excited for an event that's going to be taking place next year. And you're going to be participating in that. So you're now bringing your brilliance to some youth here. Tell us more about
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is by virtue of its name, Liberated Village, which I love. From the songwriter, I love the self-explanatory title. It says what it is. So just bringing that all together, the youth coming to that town and sharing the experiences, what I have. And I'm going to be bringing some friends with me. So it's kind of few surprises, but they're going to know who they are. Oh yeah, yeah. So we want to light up the time. We want to make sure that we engage this activity. I want to do a Q&A. I want them to feel the experience, not just hear, but feel, because it's all about the energy. So to come there, I'm super excited about that. We're going to start promoting like 6 months in advance. I want people to
Yeah.
feel it and know it. So I'm looking forward to it very much.
Well, thank you so much for taking time in your busy schedule to be with me today. I'm definitely looking forward to you being here. Can't wait to meet you in person. It
Yeah.
was great to be able to connect with Wayne recently. And I'm telling you, I told him, I said, I'm so excited for what you're doing and what you're bringing. I think oftentimes for me, what I've said is exposure is key. And sometimes it's the
Yeah.
one thing that a young person needs to actually be able to see themselves in a certain art form, right? When they see
Right.
folks that look like them in that art form. So it was great to be able to see some of the dancers he brought. I can't wait for you to bring your experience here.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
thank you so much for being with me today, for sharing your story. I look
Mhm.
forward to seeing you when you hit the town.
Absolutely. I cannot wait. By the way, I got a new single out called The Rest of My Life. It's on all platforms. I'm doing it with a wonderful female singer named Shalia Vintage. There's not enough duets out there. There's not enough engagement. I checked it out. You're going to love it. And Full Force is coming back. The House Party Bullies come back with the song too. Oh, we going to keep keeping some free. I had to do
You
it.
know,
I
we
had to do
you
it.
know we love it. We love it. We'll definitely
What's up?
check you out on all the
All right.
platforms. Paul Anthony, a true gem in the
Much
industry.
love.
Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Much love. So much. God bless.
Oh my goodness. Y'all, I told you it was going to be a phenomenal Monday already, starting the week off right with that Black Star Power Action with Paul Anthony. I mean, I'm still buzzing right now. I know it just happened. I'll probably be buzzing all week, but so grateful that he was able to be with me. Of course, I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Y'all stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in. They talked to our lender and saved our home. Because falling on hard times does not have to mean losing your home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org.
Hey guys, Basic Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trae Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more. Before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
Wow. What an amazing episode. I want to thank y'all so much for joining me on this Monday. And of course, I got to give a huge thank you to my guest, Paul Anthony of Full Force, and so many other things. I mean, just to hear his history, his story, the legacy that he has built in the industry is phenomenal. And it's just impeccable to know that he's still doing it. So make sure y'all go check out his single right now on all of the platforms. Let's stay connected with Full Force. As he said, they're coming back. It's great to know that he's just one of those examples of like doing what he loves and being so committed to making sure the next generation understands how to bring their talent out as well. So y'all know I'm inspired, not just by what he's done over the course of his career, but because he continues to have a commitment to the next generation and to utilizing his experience to help others. Of course, all of us can do that and be inspired to see ourselves as a part of the solution. Y'all know I'm going there because ultimately, when you connect with others, that's really a way to do that. Maybe your lived experience can help someone else identify some areas that they are interested in or some routes that they can take for their own success. That is another way of doing it, y'all, of seeing yourself as a part of the solution. So let's just all do that. Let's pour into those who are the next generation, who are coming up, young folks who are still trying to figure it out. Let's help them find their way as Paul Anthony is doing. And for me, y'all, until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.